Welcome to the Intercut podcast, the weekly show going over the TV, movies, and entertainment that people can't cut away from. I am your co-host and I need a haircut. And joining me, under no circumstance is he allowed to take off his blindfold. It's Boy.
Girl. Yeah, I keep seeing the memes for it's a whole actual video to make about how Bird Box memed its way.
Yeah, that's a kind of interesting thing that's happened in the wake of the success of Bird Box. Whether I put that in quotes because we don't really know for sure, given that Netflix doesn't.
I would say
100%.
100%. I can say from my perspective, the fastest video to 1 million I've ever made in my life. Fastest
Really?
video to millions that I've seen other people get to as well.
I mean, the sheer pervasiveness of the memes of Bird Box suggests that a lot of people have seen it.
Yeah.
I've had people just talking to me about it casually, so I feel like, yeah, it's definitely popular, but it's been curious to me to see how many people are attributing its internet presence to like Netflix bots or whatever. It seems like
Maybe
we can't really trust the real thing.
We've talked about Venom before, how they practically used the making Venom into a boyfriend over in, what was it? It was China. Maybe the same thing here, because a bunch of the comments that I got was, I knew nothing about the movie. I'm just here because I need to understand what all the memes are about. Mm-hmm. I'm just here so I can fit in with my friends who have seen the movie, which is so weird because usually it's like, oh man, I haven't seen the new Avengers movie. I can't go to theater. It's at home. What do you mean you haven't seen it? That's some extra level of laziness, but it literally shows how the power of memes and everyone who's been talking about the movie online, fabricated or not, it shows you that how word of mouth can literally build a movie to be so big.
We're not going to get into this in yay or nay, so let's talk about this a little bit now. Netflix tweeted that 45 million accounts watched Bird Box, which, according to Netflix, is the most for the first week of a release of a Netflix movie ever. If you think about 45 million accounts and you want to equate that to like a $10 ticket price, that's
It's
at
not
least
though.
$450 million.
You and I know that's not how it is. It's like streaming service. You don't stream your stream of a song is 0.001.
Yeah, if you want to equate that, just
Yeah.
in terms of
Netflix
the
does.
number of people who maybe saw it, but that's the thing with Netflix. It also raises all these questions. They say 450 million accounts or whatever. How many of those accounts have watched it and clicked out of it after 30 seconds? How many of those accounts watched it and clicked out after
Like a
15
Facebook
minutes?
view. How many just had the actual trailer play for them automatically and then they counted it as one?
Right. Like we don't. How strictly is Netflix counting all this?
Yeah.
Are they talking about accounts that are just in the U.S. or accounts that are worldwide? It just opens the door to so many other questions. I was wondering what you thought when you heard about how successful this Netflix movie is.
As opposed to a lot of the other ones where, what was it, the Christmas one, the Chronicles of Christmas?
Yeah, they said that a lot of people watched that one, and they also said last year that a lot of people watched Bright. They're saying that Roma is doing very well now.
So that's the thing. With Roma, we can see the numbers and the buzz that's going around it. With Bright, it was like, I heard more controversy than people watching it. Christmas Chronicles, it was people making videos talking about, have y'all even heard of this movie, Chronicles? Bird Box, I see it everywhere.
Yeah.
It is literally everywhere.
Bird Box is maybe the first Netflix movie where I feel like
it's an actual has a social impact.
Yeah,
I don't want to say social impact.
That if you haven't seen it, you've heard about it, you've been thinking about it in some capacity, you know the plot of it.
Bird Boxing has officially become, like Daredevil had 3 seasons.
Bird Box Challenge or whatever it was.
Bird Box will now be, Blindfolds and Bird Box will now become one.
Yeah, it's stealing Daredevil's thunder, I guess, just in time for Daredevil to exit Netflix.
Killed it, kicked it out just like that. But anyways, we've been so used to sitting. I miss the set, man. I miss the set. Yeah.
I know. This room feels empty without you.
Are you ready for this? We used to be so close right there, and now we are literally not just because we're on back to the Skype days. I'm literally at the opposite ends of the country. We've been driving for the last 4 days, and we're in Seattle right now, so it literally can't get any farther than where this man is. So if I look tired, it's because it's been 4 days. Drove 2 hours into a road in, what did I say? Yellowstone?
Yeah.
Yellowstone. It says road closed, got to drive 2 hours back, take the longer route over, got stranded in South Dakota at one point. It's made it to Seattle.
And if I look tired, it's just because the time difference is even bigger than normal. But
it's because now it's even 3 hours ahead.
So in a little bit, we're going to talk about the surprising Golden Globes, as well as our favorite TV shows of 2018, because it's not too late yet.
Nope.
But first, we're going to start the way we start every week here on the Intercut podcast with what we've been watching. And Art, what have you been watching?
Well, one of them is something that I'm going to keep for later because it's something that's going to make it to a list a little bit later on. But what I have been watching was, I guess, the only really release that I actually stopped to make sure I could make the video. Parched as can be. I'm also feeling better. Thank you for those of you who are concerned. Others just said, screw you being sick. For Escape Room. When I made the video for the Escape Room, I was like, sorry, guys, I'm sick. You could hear it. Like, it wasn't some pretending. Yeah. Some people were like, take your time, take your time. Now, 90% of people... He sounds better with the deep voice. Give me the content. Hey, he doesn't sound that bad with the deep voice. Just keep doing what you got to do. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. I stopped to watch Escape Room in Minnesota. Man, do you know those movies where you're like, it's a guilty pleasure?
Yeah.
Because I know it. Like, I know it's not good, but there's some stuff about it that are like remember Final Destination back in high school? Exciting. Mm-hmm. Like, we're about to see this really dope movie. This has it. And I feel like it would have been a classic if we weren't in the era of everyone being able to critique everything. It would have the buzz that the Final Destinations used to have back in the day and stuff like that.
I mean, I think the big thing with this movie, aside from, it coming out in January, and January traditionally being a dumping ground, is that it's called Escape Room. And
it was called The Maze at first.
Right. Like... It's the fact that people feel like it's lumped in with the battleship movies or the this just trying to make everything into a movie now, even things that don't necessarily deserve a movie, and that's not what this is. It's a much more interesting idea that's almost been shoehorned into a modern trend, like the opposite way around. I don't see any difference between like the plot of this or like the plot of like a Saw movie. If anything, this is like a more intricate version. I thought it was going to be
Jigsaw, yeah. It's still fun though. That's the crazy thing about it is that the production design with the rooms, it's an actual engaging story. If this was a ripoff of Saw, it is a really good ripoff of Saw. That's the thing about it. And that's like the only movie that's coming out for a bit. Everything next week is just going to be, I mean, you're going to cover that later on, is just wider releases. So this is like the biggest movie we have for most of January until Glass.
Definitely seems the most unique or interesting movie we're getting other than the expanding Oscar movies.
Yeah, and the movie, which we already got all of it in the trailer, the dog one. Yes, every time it comes on, there's always a dude who's like, hey, you want to see this movie? When does it come out? Right here. Watch it. You're watching it right now. There he goes. Yeah, and he found the owner. Happily ever after. Shows you everything.
Well, okay, I'm going to go the opposite way. I know a lot of people are critiquing this trailer. First of all, who is going into the G-rated dog movie thinking, well, I wonder if the dog's going to be okay in the end? Second of all, what parent is going to take their kid into the movie wondering, oh my God, is this dog going to die at the end? Like, it's serving its audience. I don't want to worry about whether or not this dog is going to be okay.
Did Marley and Me get nominated for anything?
Marley and Me was like PG-13, I think. That is a movie for adults, sir.
That was okay. My bad. You're right. I take it back. So, as someone who knows the side of the movie YouTube reviewing game, you're right. People want to know everything before going in. That's why I'm upset. The trailer's taking my job. You're supposed to give me all the bits. Yeah, you're supposed to give me all the bits and pieces. I rearrange it. Yeah. Not you. I did have one more thing before I toss it back to you. Maybe you've seen this as well. If we're talking about TV shows, this is not one that made it, but I need to mention it because it's so like last year, everyone's making the 2018 list, and February comes around, and we're talking about the Oscars, and Black Panther comes out, and everyone goes, why wasn't Black Panther on your list? And it's like, no, because that's a new movie. I consider the show You, the Lifetime one on Netflix, last year's show. But if you consider it this year's show, there's going to be people who I know, if we're talking about a best TV list, who are going to be like, why aren't you talking about You? I know I'm only talking about it because it's brand new and I'm just going off the trend, but why wasn't it on this list? To me, it's not on this list, but I'm curious to know if you know anything about this show.
So I watched the first episode of it.
Okay.
This is starring Penn Badgley, I think
Yep.
it is. I haven't really heard much about it other than it's been getting buzz. A lot of people think it's like this fun, scary show. And I think was it on Lifetime? Was it on
Lifetime.
A&E?
Lifetime.
Lifetime. So the first episode's like interesting. I'm not gonna go ahead and say it was like something that caught my attention or made me feel like I need to keep watching. I can see where it's gonna be kind of like a twist on Dexter in a way,
A little bit.
but
This is
not
the-
necessarily as deep.
Yeah, this is the highest, this is the biggest most requested, let me explain, we've had in the past week. We get
I'm not
around
surprised.
100 to 120 requests for this. Do you. To the point I didn't even know at the beginning what they were talking about. I thought they were just like, you. And then I realized it was a show.
Right.
So I had to go binge it. I think it's the same, the pilot.
Yeah.
That's what you get over and over and over again for the most part.
Yeah.
There is some twist that comes towards the end. They get to a point where it's just like, wait, is a woman writer and a woman showrunner? Like, it gets to some points where what would be deemed problematic, even I would be like,
Interesting.
oh, stop using that word. Oh, we talking about this show? The moment it ends, they kind of bring it, they wrap it around. And it wasn't until I was watching interviews that I really got what they were going for. To
Interesting.
me, it's a whole parody of 50 Shades. In 50 Shades, he looks just like this guy over here, mysterious,
yeah.
very nice dude. But he's got a room where he, does very sexual things. But when he goes to the hardware store, everyone's seen the edits and the cuts of making it a horror movie. He seems like a serial killer. All three
Right.
movies, though, he is not a serial killer. He never kills, never implied, none of that. This one he does. It is the
Right.
exact same story, and yet people were attracted to it, having done research for the video, because the ending does have a pretty good, I don't want to say resolution, but cliffhanger for season 2. Reading book 2, one of the things that he brings up in there is that he says you can practically swap out sex for murder, and you guys wouldn't care. Which I realized was him breaking the the author breaking the fourth wall to what then is going to be in the TV show, which is we literally this is your normal Lifetime thing, but now there's actual murders happening. Now it's literally a mixture of Dexter, and y'all don't care. Y'all come in to see sex, y'all come in to see murder as well. It doesn't matter to you, and that's like a big line that I feel is going to be in season 2, and I think that's an interesting kind of way to look at why people are so fascinated with the show.
Yeah.
But they're supposed
so
to be
a lot of people
disgusted
are
with it?
requesting that you watch it, though. Are you excited to check it out again? See
After
season 2 whenever it comes back?
I'm curious for season 2, but to me it just dragged because the whole time, if you're watching it, and I'm sure most people are watching with me, this guy's crazy. Leave. And it's so interesting seeing Penn's interviews. Everyone else was talking about how excited he was to make the project. All he mentions for 30 minutes in the SAG interview is how he regretted doing this. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this. Then the Harvey Weinstein stuff. I kept asking him, are you sure we want to do? He says he utterly hates his character, and he's so confused to why anyone would ever see this as a romance, because he said everyone while they were making it said that this was supposed to be a dark romantic comedy. He said there's nothing romantic about this.
Yeah, I've only seen the pilot, but I'm on Penn's side there. That
I was too the whole
it's
time.
Very creepy to me.
So,
All right.
what have you been watching?
So what have I been watching? I've been trying to see some more of the Oscar movies and make sure I'm caught up for all of that. I've also seen a couple more movies on Netflix that I wanted to talk to you about. Should we get into Bird Box a little bit? Because I don't
Go
think
ahead.
we've had a chance to talk about it on the show yet. I mean, so it was perfectly watchable. I think a lot of people are
Worst
a lot of
movie of the year?
a lot of people are going like overboard in one way or the other, either really loving it or really hating it. When to me, it's like very much in the middle of A Quiet Place and The Happening. It's just it has its moments.
I learned something really big, though, with this. when we hear about The Favorite in Roma, we realize how small that group is, right?
Right.
There was one picture going around recently about how some guy said, how are all these other movies nominated if I've never seen them? To which people responded with, sorry, just because you didn't see them, it doesn't mean they're popular. To which the main consensus of him and everyone else was, well, if I haven't heard about them, then I guess they're not that good. Bohemian Rhapsody was a better movie. Then Bohemian Rhapsody wins. Go back to the post. Ha! Like I said. We forget how many people who are talking about Bird Box are not in our weekly film Twitter conversations that we have.
Yes.
And it's interesting when those two worlds collide, because I've been saying this almost every week now.
Mm-hmm.
Us film people are super pretentious and stuck on ourselves, and we think that movies revolve around us. Movies do not revolve around film people.
Right. And that's the thing with Bird Box, in that for me, I found it perfectly watchable.
Mm-hmm.
I think it had moments. And if you're somebody who's not necessarily seeing a lot of movies the way that you do, the way that I do, the way that people who are probably watching this podcast do, if you're that much into movies that you're going to listen to us talk about them for an hour and a half,
It's a person who doesn't have money to go to the theater, and they saw Bird Box in the comfort of their own home. This is one of probably 10.
A few exciting moments.
Yes.
They got to be in on the memes that
Sandra
we were talking
Bullock,
about earlier.
It's like watching a big blockbuster, but you actually got to see it. And a lot of kids got to see it, and they got to talk about it.
Yeah. So I see why it's so popular. For me, like, having seen A Quiet Place less than a year ago, I would rather just see A Quiet Place. I feel like it's got a lot of the same ideas going on with the whole idea of like a sensory monster.
Yeah.
I think the conceit of A Quiet Place is much more cinematic than Bird Box, which
more thematic, I would say, for Bird Box.
Yeah, like, I think Bird Box kind of runs into a bit of an issue in that because they need to move the plot along, but also it's kind of hard to move places with the blindfolds on. They kind of yada yada a lot of the like intricacies of like how they stay alive. At one point, they're just yada yada 5 years later.
Yep.
To me, that's where the movie becomes less interesting, in that I think Bird Box cares a little bit less about its internal logic. I think
easily.
To me, there's like this threat of this monster, and I'm all for like an ambiguous monster. I'm all for sometimes not necessarily seeing what the enemy is, but you have to know what it is, and you have to define what it is. Otherwise, it feels like it's everything and nothing all at once. And that's kind of what this monster felt like.
I've said that multiple, but the themes and the metaphors, you didn't like it? She was scared to be a parent. Remember she had
I think there's interesting stuff there, but I don't know. It just, there's too much stuff that bothered me. There's too much stuff with like, why does that guy show up and pretend, and his eyes are normal, and then his eyes aren't normal, you know? Like,
but you don't like that line where Peter says to her, "It's a leap of faith." You haven't seen Spider-Verse, have you?
Nah.
Damn you! No, how do you get to come in and make these quotes at the beginning and the outros and stuff, but you're not going to get my quips? Damn you. Anyway, she goes in blindfolded. Get it? That's the whole theme of the movie. She went into parenting blindfolded, and it wasn't until she was ready to accept both of them as her children that she became the mother that she was.
Right. Well, there's some interesting stuff and some thematic stuff there.
But why do the aliens have shadows if they're invisible? Like that? How'd they get back into the car after getting the groceries when it was so hard to get back in?
Right, or drive all the way back. I have no idea how a lot of that stuff happened, and to me, it's all that stuff that makes it like not a good movie to me. Even though, you know, I was perfectly content to sit there for, you know, a little over 2 hours, maybe a little bit too long, and watch the movie.
Would you call it a poor man's Annihilation?
Sure.
Both being very theme heavy over the actual monster / alien, which they both are.
I think it's much more like a competent happening, but
okay, yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah. So I saw that one, and then I also saw one that I know you liked a few weeks ago, Cam.
Okay, I'm not allowed to talk about Cam anymore.
No,
because I put it in my top list. I had mentioned it because I thought it was a good thriller. Like, it actually has stuck with me. But you see, when I say Cam is really good, oh yeah, how many subscriptions to Cam Girls do you have? Which one, it's none of your business. And two, like, you can give every single reason to how cinematically you can correlate it to being a YouTuber and someone who creates content and trying to fight trendings and algorithms. No, you like Cam Girls, don't you? It's good, is it not?
Yeah, no, it's a little weird to talk to people about, but
Right?
it's a tense thriller. I think it's really interesting. It's a fitting film in the history of like those tense doppelganger movies. To me, I was thinking a lot about the Jesse Eisenberg movie The Double, just because in tone I felt like they were a bit similar, even though in execution maybe they, Cam is definitely more horrific,
Yeah.
whereas The Double is more like existential.
Yeah.
But there's this like sense of doom lingering over both of the protagonists in both those movies that I really dug, and this like exacerbation at their circumstance. But it's a fun movie. Just like it's a fun
thrilling.
idea. Your online presence being replaced by someone who looks exactly like you. But that's about all I've been watching. Let us know what you've been watching down in the comments below. We're gonna get to a yay or nay awards edition, starting with the Golden Globes, where this past weekend, and the results were not what most people predicted. In Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy, Green Book.
I saw that one coming, though. I've been saying this. I'm not a Green Book hater,
Yeah.
but I understand the Green Book hate.
Yeah. So Green Book beat out Crazy Rich Asians, The Favorite, as well as Vice. Then,
No, I'm
Sorry?
just saying. Are you leading up to the big one? Because
Well,
it's funny
I'll-
that people
I got a
make
whole
fun
bunch
of Green
here.
Book, right? You know, like when people are upset, I'm gonna be so upset if that happens. Actually, I think we
For-
can do one better.
for Best Motion Picture Drama, the somewhat controversial Bohemian Rhapsody won ahead of the presumptive favorite A Star Is Born, as well as Black Panther or Black Klansman. A Star Is Born ended up only picking up one award all night, with
And-
Shallow
yeah, and Gaga
winning
got
for
it.
Best Original Song. Both Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga lost in the acting categories. Cooper
Ooh.
lost to Bohemian Rhapsody's Rami Malek.
How do you feel about
in
that
Best
one?
Actor Drama. And Gaga lost to Glenn Close for
That's
The
crazy.
Wife, a movie that I'm not entirely sure exists still, but we could get to that later.
Yeah.
Art, let's start with the big picture stuff.
Okay.
Yay or nay? The biggest surprise of the night was Green Book and Bohemian Rhapsody taking home the big awards.
Bohemian Rhapsody and The Wife.
You'd say
'Cause-
The Wife?
Yes, because you got to think the picture is big,
Yeah.
but I know people were going for Black Panther. I know people were going for A Star Is Born. Believe it or not, there were the people, we heard them yesterday, you know? You know, like when a small team makes it all the way and wins, all of a sudden people realize, oh, y'all have a voice in that state, in that town?
Yeah.
The Bohemian Rhapsody fans made themselves heard. There was several ways that it could have gone, even though it blew my mind where it went. Acting-wise, it was all Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were pretty all unanimous.
But
in
even
that-
if we were, Glenn Close, mind the pun, wasn't even anywhere near.
Yeah,
where she
yeah.
was, and then she won.
No, I mean, so The Wife is a movie that I believe first debuted at last year, not 2018, 2017's Toronto International Film Festival. So this isn't even like a new movie. This has been lingering around for a little while. I don't know anybody who has seen The Wife.
I got you, Mr. 415 over here. I got you.
I
Sorry,
know one
ruined
person
it.
who has seen The Wife. So I'm not entirely sure that this is like a real thing, but she picked up a Golden Globe for it. And granted, like, you know, she's definitely like the legacy contender. She was in the running, I want to say like half a decade ago, for Albert Nobbs, another movie that not a lot of people saw, but she got an Oscar nomination for. This might really be, she might really be a contender though. If
No. Can you imagine if she's the Bridge of Spies?
this year, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't completely shock me, is all I'm saying. Glenn Close, you know, it's one of those, like, we like you, we like your career, we like all the stuff you've done.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people who would vote for her who haven't even heard of The Wife.
That makes no sense to me. I still don't think that that's going to play out. I think it was a fluke for the Golden Globes, just like a majority
That's
of the
possible
thing
too, because
was a
Golden
fluke.
Globes is voted on by like 80 or so people, and the Academy is about 8,000 people big. So it's
Yeah.
a much
It's a lot
different voting
easier
pool.
to really think the Hollywood foreign press. Have you noticed that? Thank you, the Academy. No one knows, right? No one
Right,
knows who
right.
they're thinking. They just say the Academy. But you hear it, right? When they win the
Yeah.
award and they say thank you, foreign press, they're thinking of a name. They're thinking
Yeah.
of the barbecue or something. They know the people on that press.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust it.
Yeah. It's the Golden Globes are definitely a little shadier, I'd say. So it sort of puts a little bit of a damper, I guess, on all of this.
Now,
All of this can't be taken
that seriously.
that seriously.
But we don't. Like, I'm so surprised because we say that every year someone comes out and goes, "Well, we're not. They're canceled," and then they
I
care about
think-
it next year and next year and next year.
I think one of the things that happened this year is that normally we get a lot of we kind of know what the Oscar frontrunners are, and they kind of position themselves at the Globes. But
Yeah.
this year we have this weird thing where
None
A
of
Star
them.
is Born and Bohemian Rhapsody, which are both kind of musical movies, decided to compete in drama. And then Green Book, which, I get it. I get why it was in comedy, but it probably should be in drama, yet it competes in the comedy category. The Roma, which is one of the big awards contenders, not competing in either of those categories because it's a foreign language film.
Yeah.
So we have this sort of like weird thing where the nominees are a little bit mixed up. I'm sure there's some weird vote splitting and stuff like that.
What was going
so.
on? Yeah, nah,
Yeah.
it was a little weird. But give you the alternate scenario: Bohemian Rhapsody doesn't win, and Black Panther does. What does that build for the Oscar race? What does that build for the completely different reception a movie like Black Panther would have gotten over Bohemian Rhapsody?
I think that's the kind of thing where people would say Black Panther's a legitimate contender for the
Yeah.
Oscars if that were to happen. That being said, I hear some people saying that Bohemian Rhapsody is a legitimate contender for the Oscars now. I don't know if that's the case, but it's the kind of thing where I think it would have been, as much as people are making a big deal of Bohemian Rhapsody winning, it would have been like an exponentially larger story had Black Panther won, with just as many people complaining about it, but a lot of people also celebrating it too.
Yeah. Vice was a comedy, right? They put it as a comedy.
Yeah, they put it as a comedy,
That's
and
why-
again, that's probably like maybe that could compete as a drama. I don't know.
But I'm just saying because there was two males and Christian Bale got one.
Yeah, he
Who
got
did
the
Rami
best
beat?
actor in a comedy.
And what do you feel about Rami winning?
So, Bohemian Rhapsody, I, again, haven't seen that one, so I can't really be that specific in my talk about it. All the clips I've seen, that doesn't really look like a Oscar-winning performance to me.
It's one of those where it's like, like Tom Hardy Venom?
Yeah.
That's how I feel with it. It was like, man, I've been watching you since you were King Tut, since you were butt naked in Need for Speed.
Yeah.
Then you went crazy in Mr. Robot. Yeah. Are you the best one?
He's looks like he's doing a lot in that movie, and I don't know if I'm always a
I've
fan
said
of
he
doing
looks
a
like
lot.
He looks
with
like the
those
duck
types of
from Chicken
roles.
Little. That's all. That's what I've been thinking. But who else was nominated there that you think got snubbed in his
For
category?
Best Actor Drama?
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I thought this was Bradley Cooper's category to lose.
I said the same thing. Yeah. I'm so surprised that I guess because the Hollywood Foreign Press hasn't seen First Reformed that Ethan Hawke didn't get any attention whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that because the Globes end up dividing the actors, and this is kind of like a somewhat weak year for Best Actor, I don't know how many real contenders there were. I personally would rather give it to John David Washington in Black Klansman than Rami Malek, but I don't know if we live in a world where that's going to happen.
Never happened. No.
Willem Dafoe maybe is a contender. Again,
Yeah.
kind of is that like
Pretty good. For
you had an
Aquaman, yeah, he
excellent
was pretty
career.
good. Yeah.
But yeah, to me, I mean, I'm just stunned it wasn't Bradley Cooper who won it because he's not only so good in A Star is Born, but I feel like being the director of the film gives him extra credit for acting in it.
I would agree with
even
the
if
same
that necessarily shouldn't be
Well,
the case.
you know the problem with it, right?
No.
Is that with the Hollywood Foreign Press, they only had 99 people in the room.
Right.
So
right.
so that one was missing. Oh.
So, Art, the Oscar predictions website Gold Derby currently has A Star is Born as their film that's most likely to win Best Picture at the Oscars, but given its poor showing at the Golden Globes, yay or nay, A Star is Born should no longer be the frontrunner many people thought it was.
Golden Globes is nothing but a party for them to go celebrate their stuff. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I mean, I think, if anything, the fact that A Star is Born didn't do well at the Globes is good for A Star is Born, because this is a movie that came out, I want to say, October?
October 5th?
It's been in the public consciousness for a little while now. I think it's kind of died down as people have seen some other movies and maybe got excited about other stuff.
Grammy contender.
Yeah, well, it got the Grammy nom, but what I'm saying is, I think the fact that it got a lack of recognition from the Globes is gonna hopefully spur people on who really love A Star is Born to campaign for it again, whereas they might have been a little complacent beforehand.
Yeah. They came in a little too cocky to the fight.
They probably did.
And now
they
it's
probably did. At the Golden Globes, Lady Gaga didn't even say anything when Shallow won for Best Song. I think they were probably expecting her to have a speech later in the night.
Wait, did she really not say anything?
No, Mark Ronson had the whole speech.
Screw Mark Ronson. You've had enough.
But I'm pretty sure they expected her to get her own speech for Best Actress later that night. We'll see.
Zoinks.
The Writers Guild revealed their annual nominees for Best Screenplay, with Eighth Grade, Green Book, A Quiet Place, Roma, and Vice making the cut in Best Original, whereas Best Adapted went to Black Klansman, Black Panther, Can You Ever Forgive Me, If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star is Born. Art, yay or nay, these were the best written films of 2018.
The Favorite was on there?
The Favorite may... No, actually, The Favorite's not on here.
I think it was it one of the ones that was ineligible?
Maybe?
Yeah. No. The Writers Guild isn't looking for the best ones. It's looking for the ones who paid their dues to the Writers Guild, who has done what the Writers Guild want. Isn't that crazy? It's funny that it's called the Writers Guild Award, but it's not necessarily the best written movie. It's the one that first has to fit its confinement, and then we'll discuss whether it's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of interesting in that
there's
you
weird
don't necessarily
requisites in there that have nothing to do with writing.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think the place where, to me, this sort of is a little bit odd is Roma. Roma is a really stunning movie.
Oh, can we talk about it?
In a lot of ways, I'm not sure that its screenplay is one of the things that makes Roma so great.
He gave it to them in the morning.
Sorry, say that one more time.
He gave it to them in the morning. They didn't know their lines.
Right,
he said it, that the biggest push was how, he said, I didn't even feel like I was directing. I feel like I was cheating because they did all the work. Oh, he wasn't saying because of how great actresses they are, and they are great actresses. It's because he literally had them improvise. Those are the most interesting ones for me. Remember American also got nominated. Did it win? I can't remember if it did, but that's the funniest part about it, because most of it is improv.
So I just looked it up, and apparently... Sorry to Bother You, The Favorite, Hereditary.
Yeah, I remember that. Because Sorry to Bother You is one of the best written movies of the year.
Yeah, Sorry to Bother You for me is the one that I immediately thought of. I was hoping would be eligible. But, if you can't include all of those, maybe First Reformed and Tully instead of Roma should be in there. But yeah,
I love Roma. It's just you can't get them both. You can't praise one aspect of the movie, but then also want to praise another one, and it's like you're contradicting yourself.
Yeah, you can't say it's it feels really loosely scripted.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I really started thinking of with the Golden Globes and with the Oscars as well. Can you really nominate a director and not the actors? I think you can nominate the actors and not the director, but a director is literally, his proof is within the directors, within the actors in the movie.
But the director's job is bigger than the actors too.
That's the biggest part of a director's job, though. Acting? That is the number one thing a director has to deal with, is that. He's got the line producers, got everybody else.
Directors got a lot of jobs.
They do got a lot of jobs. But what I'm saying is that one of the biggest things that would be noticed is the acting.
I think good acting is a great way.
Why
to
does
tell.
Barkhad Abdi get nominated, and My Girl from Roma doesn't?
Yes, I think that good acting can definitely
All I'm saying.
allude to or point to good direction. I'll give you that. Anyway, the American Society of Cinematographers announced their nominees for this year's Best Shot films, and making the cut were Roma, A Star Is Born, The Favorite, First Man, and Cold War Art. Were these the 5 best shot films of 2018?
I'm sure that there's some better ones. I really like how Hereditary was shot with a lot of the natural lighting and the way they made the trees look. But those 7 are really good.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I don't see how
that's
even if your favorite one wasn't mentioned, like that's a solid 7.
It's a really solid list. For me, I'm very surprised to not see If Beale Street Could Talk on there.
That's a good one.
I thought that was one of the best shot films of the year. I'm less surprised, like you, about Hereditary, being that it's a horror movie. I feel like generally they don't make lists like this. But yeah, I mean, Roma, A Star Is Born, The Favorite, First Man, Cold War. I can't really complain about any of those. They're all really, really beautiful to look at. That's it for yay or nay. So we're going to get to the interview and answer some leftover questions that we haven't gotten to yet. Vincenzo asked us, with all the recommendations that you guys get, how do you choose which shows and movies to watch? I know for me, film Twitter is kind of one of the huge things. If I hear about something over and over again on film Twitter, then it's just that's to me something I need to catch up with. It's in the dialogue. People are talking about it for a reason, you know?
I mean, well, I'm usually trying to catch up on everything. It's usually TV shows that I get the recommendation for, and then that's where, because like the movies I'm usually up to date with, but it's a TV show gets mentioned, and I'll have other ones. Depending the more that I hear about it, it usually will get pushed up, like You, which is what I talked about earlier.
Right. And the thing is that like when you get a recommendation, you don't always know that your taste is going to line up with the person who's recommending
man,
it.
I get that
but
so much.
when you get a recommendation several times, that tends to tell you that it's hitting a lot of people. It might hit you as well. Vincenzo also wanted to know what has been your favorite film to decode and analyze. For me, there's 2 movies that came to mind. Memento is a movie that I devoted a 12-page paper to in high school, just talking about the ways that the nonlinear aspects of that movie kind of hack your brain. I think it's brilliant. And then also Mad Max Fury Road. I love the way that's like a, jigsaw puzzle of a movie, how every shot, every movement is sort of reverberated and leads to something else. It's like a Rube Goldberg machine action movie. I love Mad Max Fury Road.
I agree with you. In terms of this year, easily Annihilation, Sorry to Bother You, and Hereditary. Those 3, I think, were the most interesting movies to dissect, and I'm still dissecting to this day. I still have great conversations about Annihilation. Sorry to Bother You, I think, is a classic. I think I've only scratched the surface on what that has. And Hereditary. I had a conversation with my mom the other day because she hates horror movies. She doesn't like the mental stuff. And we were kind of having a conversation about like spirits and stuff like that. Like religious people, they believe, as my mom very much is, of spiritual warfare type stuff. We were just talking about Fiddler on the Roof beforehand as well, and they have spiritual warfare that happens there. And we're having that conversation, and I was like, I think you would really like this movie. No, I wouldn't. It has this. So what do you think about this in real life, though? Oh, yeah, 100% that exists. Well, that's kind of what Hereditary is saying.
Yeah.
I'm going to be having conversations about Hereditary for a while is what I'm saying. But overall,
absolutely.
Cloverfield, I think, is one of the ones that really got me into a whole other aspect of it, marketing. That's a huge one. Anyone who's seen any of my videos, that's massive.
Totally. Shivam asked us, what is a movie that you enjoyed when you saw it in theaters, but on rewatch you realized it was terrible? For me, I don't know if terrible is the word that I'll go with, but I enjoyed the first Amazing Spider-Man when I saw that one in theaters. I went with a buddy of mine who's a big comics guy, a big Marvel guy.
You were feeding off of him.
And yeah, I fed off that energy. He's British and moved to America to boot, so he was like, oh man, Andrew Garfield, like he's a Brit like me, and he was really, so. I mean, I think that Amazing Spider-Man, it also has a lot of the elements of the first Raimi film. So in that way, it's like, oh, this is exciting, like those beats in the Raimi film, and you don't think as much in the moment about the ways in which it's kind of just like the good elements are just kind of carbon copied.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely like that less as I have revisited it. I also liked Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk when I first saw that at 3 a.m. at the New York Film Festival.
Sir, you need to explain to these people what that thing is. No one knows what that movie is.
See, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk was once a Oscar contender, and then people saw it.
All 64 frames? 68?
Yeah, Ang Lee shot this in this crazy high frame rate for some reason, and it looks video gamey and wrong and weird, and there's not really much reason for it to be shot that way. I don't know.
Tom Cruise had to come out and tell you, turn that effect off on your television.
So yeah, I mean, seeing it at a festival, you kind of get excited because you're in the premiere audience and Ang Lee is here. Look, it's Ang Lee, and then I kind of like slept on it and realized I didn't really like much about that movie at all.
Everybody Wants Him. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, that was the Richard Linklater one. I think that was the follow-up to Boyhood. No?
Yep, caught it at the Music Box. The whole cast of the dudes were there, jam-packed crowd. Everyone was laughing with it. I loved it. I thought it was a masterpiece. Rewatched it again with my brother, and he was like, all that hyped up that you had about how funny this was, how this was like us as the Sandlot kids if we all went to college, no. And I sat there, I was like, the jokes didn't hit as much.
Right.
Oh, here comes the funny part, but it wasn't as funny if everybody, because it's a completely different from a jam-packed house to just 3 pairs of 2 in the theater.
And I think that's a thing with a comedy too, is sometimes a comedy really feeds off the energy of a crowd, and
like
to
horror
watch
movies?
it in a quiet room,
Yep.
yes, it's just not quite the same.
Yes, sir.
Shivan's other question is similar to Austin's question from our previous interview section, so I'm gonna bring that back. What movie did you have the biggest shift of opinion on between your first viewing and your most recent viewing? So since this is like kind of similar to the last question, I'm going to kind of say let's go in the opposite direction. Movies that you didn't love at first but have come to love. And maybe if you want to think about it a little bit, for me, I know that 2 movies that I saw in the theater that I thought were good but I couldn't wrap my head around fully were A Serious Man and There Will Be Blood. They're 2 of the densest movies that have been made recently. There's so much subtext and there's so much thematic stuff going on. There's so much to think about in these movies, and I just don't know if I was able to absorb it all on my first viewing. I was a little bit, confounded by both. There's just so much there, and I've come to love both of those movies since then.
Good choice. Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar. It does say short film on the album cover.
Yeah. That's an amazing album.
It's a great choice. Thank you, Zach. Thank you. I know. I did not like it when it came out. I thought the voices were dumb.
Really?
I didn't understand what he was going for. I was like, this really isn't for me. I like the sound. I'm a complete and utter idiot buffoon. That is a masterpiece. That is a classic album. It's already a classic, without a doubt. You can go back and listen to it. Money Trees is the best song on the album. That's just how it is.
Oh, I love
Money
Trees.
Thank you. Money Trees.
I really love Backseat Freestyle as well, I gotta
my
say.
gosh, incredible. Art of Peer Pressure. Dude, no, the whole thing is a jam-packed classic. It really is a short film. It's a beginning, middle, and end story of...
Speaking of which, I've been recommending podcasts for you on your road trip adventures. Yeah. Have you heard of Dissect? So Dissect is an interesting podcast where every season the host takes apart an album, song by song. So the first season of the show is just looking at Good Kid, Mad City.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know, I've been saving Good Kid. I binged all of Kanye's discography. I was in Wyoming. And I started with Ye and I went through all of them. We were almost to Seattle. I was like, I can't play it yet. Why? Because we're about to hit Compton and everything and a little bit. I wanted to save the album.
Right,
you know
right.
what I mean? I want to save it up a little
You gotta
bit.
do it in its proper environment.
So what better way than to hear this podcast and then just blast Money Trees when I enter?
Yeah.
No, really. For
Season
me,
2 of the show is about My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
really.
Yes.
Damn.
And I think season 3 is about Frank Ocean's Blonde. Could be wrong on that. Though.
Should have been on the other one, but yeah. No, yeah. That is 100% one of the things that I look back and I was completely and utterly wrong. Swimming pools, the whole message in swimming pools, and the irony of how people use that song.
Yeah.
When it's saying something completely different, that would be the biggest project. Where I literally was just like, I just don't get it. It's not for me. Then
Brushed
and
it
this
off
wasn't
and then you
because
loved it.
I love Section 80. I still argue that Section 80 is up there, but no, this is. I don't think there's been an album as good since. If somebody else wants to at me, let me know. I think that is the best rap album that has come out since.
I'm not going to argue with you there. We didn't get to this one last time, but our last question is from Cheyenne, who hit us up on Twitter asking what our favorite 80s and 90s movies are. I'm listed a few in alphabetical order because I'm a nerd, but Amadeus, Blood Simple, Do the Right Thing, Election, Fargo, Fight Club, Groundhog Day, LA Confidential, Rushmore, Seven, and The Usual Suspects. Those are, for me, movies that I feel like are foundational in my love of film.
Yep. Goodfellas. I want to say it's
Goodfellas is
1990.
great.
Obviously, Toy Story, as my bias comes for Pixar and what I grew up with. I said Goodfellas. I'm blinking on another one that's in the early 90s. So I'm just going to stick to those two at the moment. Even though there's a bunch more.
The only 90s movies you've
Oh,
seen.
Shawshank, I would say. I put
okay,
another
yeah.
one. Unforgiven, I didn't even like, but it was the first time that I got the idea of an actor being able to be a director and, like, how well received that was. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? So it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't even, it came out when I was born, but when I was getting into Clint Eastwood, because Clint Eastwood himself would have been another big one. So all of the ones that I'm not really going to mention in The Line of Fire and all the other movies that people may not know, I would attribute Unforgiven because that won the Oscar. And that was the first time that I was like, what? Y'all can swatch roles? But he's also in the movie. How does that work?
Yeah.
And now we got Bradley Cooper. Yeah, now it's like a normal,
Yeah, now it's an everyday thing.
So
Especially Sundance. You're going to see a lot of that.
that's all we're going to
see
see.
a lot of that.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for the interview. Let us know if you've got questions that you'd like to see us answer on future episodes of Intercut by leaving them in the comments down below or hitting us up on social media at IntercutPod. You can send us a tweet or leave us a comment on Instagram or message us on Facebook. Any of that works.
Yep.
Intercutpod@gmail.com. That works too if you want to get your question answered on the Intercut podcast. We're going to get to our topic of the week. And this week's topic are the best TV shows of 2018. Our previous episode, we talked about our favorite movies of the year. It took a lot longer than this list will hopefully take. We're going to keep it, I think, to our top
It was fun, though.
5.
It was fun. It was
yes,
fun. Yeah.
it was a fun podcast. I know a lot of you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So,
we had fun.
Yeah, we had
all
fun.
6 hours of recording.
So I don't know if you want to get this list started with any honorable mentions or shows that didn't make it into your top 5, but that you enjoyed in 2018.
Yeah, so let me start out by saying Pose was getting a lot of love towards the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the ones that I missed as well. the
Okay, yeah,
FX
exactly.
show.
I mean, like that I missed it. Pose, the Giovanni Versace one. I was waiting
That got
to.
a lot of love at the Golden Globes.
Yeah, I was waiting
I
to.
didn't watch it.
Yeah, I didn't think much of it. I was just gonna reserve it, get my own time, not even make a video on it, because I enjoyed OJ and I thought this was gonna be good. Then I was like, oh, what? I guess it's still a bigger contender than I thought. Killing Eve. We're only halfway through it, but I think it's very interesting. Her Sandra Oh winning.
Yeah, Vincenzo asked us actually if we were up on Killing Eve, and no, unfortunately not yet.
Yeah, well, I'm
but
like
I think
6
we're both
episodes.
trying to be.
Yeah, I'm trying to just look over here to see some of the other ones that may be going into it for me. Glow. This season of Glow, I think, was better, but I wouldn't put it in my top 5. The Haunting of Hill House. It's also not one that I would put in my top 5, but I would put it in there. Do we count The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
Season 2.
I feel like season 1. I think I just watched season 1 at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, then I wouldn't put that one. I would then put Forever.
Yeah.
So those would be, I guess, my honorable mentions.
Cool. For me, I saw a lot of TV in 2018. I liked a lot of TV in 2018. I want to give shout outs to The End of the Fucking World, One Day at a Time Season 2, Forever, F is for Family Season 3, Season 1 and 2 of Queer Eye, the most recent season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Glow, Like You, almost made my top 10. And then the shows that did not make my top 5 but were in my top 10 were Big Mouth, The Good Place, High Maintenance, Haunting of Hill House, and unfortunately, BoJack Season 5. I got that as the number 6 slot on my best shows of 2018. It's the lowest I've ever put BoJack.
Hey, I ain't even mentioned BoJack this year. Oh. Yeah, we followed.
Discussion.
Yeah, that's another discussion. We'll talk about that in court. So what's your number 5 then?
So my number 5 is a show that I know you liked. I'm expecting it to show up on your list. It's the first season of Homecoming. Sam Esmail directed show with Julia Roberts and Stephen James and Bobby Cannavale. The mystery thriller-ish kind of show taking place in a facility with soldiers returning home. There's just this really amazing kind of like lingering question about what's going on that I think a lot of shows that try to be mysterious about things like that either give you too much information too quickly or not enough information and make you watch for 5 seasons until you get bored. This had the perfect slow drip of information where you're getting closer, but it was
giving you information before you even knew it was giving you information. Yes,
and that's a really smartly
good
written show when it can do something like that. Not to mention just how beautifully it was directed by Sam Esmail and all the music they use. And it's just one of the most pristine shows, I think, of 2008.
This is him taking a break too, right? Like this is like his in between, right? This is the
palate off season from Mr. Robot.
From Mr. Robot, or whatever the next big thing is. And he's married to Emmy Ross. Man, number 5, I have what I believe is going to be really high on your list, Atlanta season 2. But I have an excuse for this. For those who would say that it needs to be number 1, I've seen the first season. Zach knows this. We binged a whole bunch of episodes, not in chronological order to how they come out. And it just barely got released on Hulu. He had them all DVR'd, so it was easy for us to watch. And I saw some that I was like, I don't know what the heck or how this correlates to a season 2 type story. The barbershop episode was hilarious. The Teddy Perkins episode.
Haunting.
What was the other one we saw?
Did we watch Alligator Man?
Or yes, did we got a little bit to it. That was the one with
Cat Williams.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to let him in the house because he's got an alligator. Yeah, stuff that at this point it just became an anthology story of the town of Atlanta.
Yeah,
that's what Atlanta is. It's an anthology series almost, from episode to episode within the same people. You're just jumping from a different scenario. So because I haven't finished the whole thing, I had included in my top 5 because that's how good what I watched had, but I haven't finished the whole thing yet. So. Number 5.
That's perfectly reasonable. Number 4 is a show that we both loved, American Vandal season 2. I think that the surprise of the first season is hard to contend with, but this was a really interesting follow-up and managed to expand the show and bring it in some different directions while staying true to the formula that made it great, which is just taking a completely ludicrous, filthy idea and treating it completely seriously. It's the ways that it is able to parody the true crime genre, which is obviously like a huge genre right now, as well as the ways that it actually kind of has some societal commentary. It's just a show that's much smarter than it needs to be, much smarter than I think anybody expected it to be.
Yep.
And I love it. I'm sad to see it go. American Vandal season 2.
4 is above 6, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just saying because we had a conversation earlier in the year. You were very adamant that one show was better than the other, just because it goes 4, 5, 6.
I believe that is how you count numbers.
I'm an anti-intellectual, so sometimes I forget.
True, but I think 5 is still more than 2.
My
Last I
number
checked.
4 of this year is a little show called Barry.
Yes, very good, very good.
Actually, this is higher. I don't have a number 4. This is technically my number 3. Barry season 1 and the trailer to number 2 I have as 4. 4 and 3.
Well, Barry is my number 3 also, so I guess
All right.
we're.
Well then, boom, we go to it. What I was actually going to mention, I guess I wasn't sure if I had it as number 5 or it would have been a honorable mention. Dear White People season 2. Because
cool.
I keep forgetting that was this year. That's how long ago that was.
Yeah.
I would have had that. So I guess bump that up to number 5. My last one would have been 4. So we're at number 3 and we
Atlanta.
agree with it. Barry.
Barry,
Let's talk
yes.
about it. Some of the best
So-
shots.
Absolutely.
Of the year?
It's, I think when you tell me it's a show with Bill Hader playing a hitman, I don't envision a show that's nearly as complicated,
Yep.
as dark, or as visually stunning as this show is. But the way that they take that premise super, super seriously and still find comedy in it is just like shocking. Like I'm continually stunned by how they pull
good.
it off. And I have no idea what they're going to do when this show comes back. But I love that first season. That's we talked about this before, but that is like a perfect season of television.
Yeah, you're the one who got me onto it. That's why I watched the Intercut podcast. Very great recommendations. No, season 1 was dope, and it's so interesting to see how many people like you, which is what we've been talking about. This is the better, darker version of that. Season 2 of You, as I read over with the book, has some very interesting moments where a serial killer is faced with some acting courses in LA that really has to
Interesting.
make him look at his season 1 of Barry. The best part of Barry is that where he doesn't know how to show emotions, but he's doing an acting course to become human. People are watching you. Y'all gotta watch Barry.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some really amazing moments in which, the complications of his career, his hitman career, help him in his acting career.
Yes.
I really loved this show. I hope more people catch up with it because it was a stunning show. I mean,
Bill Hader's baby, and of course it's got our boy who came in and directed a couple of episodes as well.
Hiro Murai. So that's your number 3. That's my number 3. My number 2 is Succession. This is the hour-long comedy drama from HBO. This is written by Jesse Armstrong, and I think Adam McKay did the pilot. It's a look at the life of this family that is in charge of a multi-billion-dollar company, and just the turmoil with balancing family life and this company, and the ways in which not very competent people sometimes get responsible for very, very big situations. It's a really hilarious send-up of this capitalist culture, of this corporate culture, of the way in which this family kind of has been, their family life has been disrupted by a need to sign NDAs when they just have private discussions. I think there's a lot of stuff that's really, really fun about the show. It's also very well acted, and given that it's got that HBO money, just some of the scenery and settings they go to are gorgeous here. So yeah, I think this is a show that will probably get more popular as it goes on. I know a lot of people kind of didn't catch
season 2,
it,
season
or
3 bump.
Yeah, people are going to need to catch up with it on streaming, but catch up with it now before it comes back. I think this is going to be one of the big shows in not too long.
I remember you recommended it to me. I've only got the first episode, but I'm excited because you said it's got like an office-y type thing where it's like it's a lot more comedic than it actually comes off as.
I'd say it's like a really highbrow version of The Office.
Yeah.
In that, like, the ways in it's the ways in which it's funny kind of in the margins. It's not so much that it's funny when they say something. It's funny to see how everybody reacts to the thing that's said.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to watch that one. That was one of the ones because HBO came out with a lot of smaller shows. They didn't have the big Game of Thrones or like this bigger one like that, but they had Succession, they had Sharp Objects, they had a bunch of the other little like smaller miniseries. So.
Barry, we talked about. High Maintenance, I brought up earlier. I've been really interested to check out a show called Random Acts of Flyness that got a lot of hype, but I haven't seen that one yet.
Okay.
So that's not on my list.
I haven't seen that one. No.
You're number
Homecoming.
2.
Homecoming.
Okay, cool.
I've been arguing between this being my number 1 and what is actually my number 1. Homecoming is incredible. Homecoming is what I told you made me see Amazon as a contender too, and it's been a contender, but we haven't really been keeping it as a contender. You know what I mean? Netflix and chill is a word. Let's go watch Netflix. That's a thing. Amazon Prime? Let's go Prime it.
I'm surprised they didn't go with prime time. That would have been like, let's
something like
check
that.
out what's
I
on
don't think
prime
they
time.
can. That's the thing, right? This show is incredible, and Stefan James, that man,
Talk about having
incredible
a great
year with this and Beale Street. He's gonna be a star.
Yeah,
Julia Roberts, that lady's gonna be a star.
she's an up and comer.
The music, the cinematography, I just saw. I don't know what montage it was where I saw the scene of the ratios.
Yeah, man. I mean,
As
it's
fans of
doing
Mommy,
that's the thing is like TV often gets flack for not being cinematic. You can't really say that about this show. This show is a cinematic piece of television.
does the ending not did the ending hit you as hard as it hit me? At the
yeah. I mean, I had to watch it again.
I
and
watched it
make
3
sure
times.
I saw what I saw.
Little bit.
Yeah.
Yes. To see what you see.
Yeah.
That's where it's
great.
implementing
It's a great, subtle
things
little
since
thing.
episode 1. But the biggest punch of the show isn't this big and da-da. It's the smallest thing that you remember happening at the beginning. Bro, that wrecked me. I'm having Alina rewatch it, and I'm waiting for that moment.
Yeah.
There was one of those moments. It's so small. No one is willing to risk that in a show, to build up your show for that to be the thing.
Right. No, it reminded me of if you remember in Breaking Bad when they had that one season that ended on the Lily of the Valley or whatever, that slow pull into the flower.
Yes.
And it's like you're not even thinking why. You're like, why are they showing me this flower? And then it all comes together. It's like, this is important. This tells me about something big that just happened.
Right. This is better than that because I think that's not only conveying information, the emotion that comes from that, the hope it gives you for characters who aren't real.
Yeah.
That you want to see in season 2 is incredible. You saw the post-credit scene, right? The show has a post-credit scene. Man, I got some theories with that whole scenario.
Man, the roller.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's good. Oh, and also, best friends with Bobby Cannavale. I want to go support my man in the best Broadway show out there, which is The Lifespan of a Fact, also starring Mr. Harry Potter himself, Daniel Radcliffe. He was incredible. To see what's going to happen with that storyline and what's her name?
Hong Chow.
Who we are so glad she had a much better year than she upsized. That's what she did.
Yeah.
She was incredible in that, just like she was in the episode of Forever that we were gushing about not too long ago. So, dude, no, that ending, that subtle little ending, had one of the biggest impacts this year.
I am very excited for a second season.
Why
of Homecoming.
is Atlanta season 2 your favorite?
So Atlanta season 2 is my favorite show of 2018 because I never know what to expect from that show and those
I've never seen you get so giddy off of an episode I know you've seen like 5 times.
Yes.
And I'm at this man's house and he is so excited. I said, Zach, we can do anything. We are staying at home. And we are watching Teddy Perkins.
That is a bizarre 40 minutes of television.
Bro, you were on the edge of your seat for like the 9th time. I know you've seen it. And I'm over here like...
Yeah.
Man. I agree with you.
It's a really compelling show. It benefits from rewatch because every line you can tell has been considered and there's all these funny little jokes that you don't even think about. My favorite thing in Teddy Perkins is when he's just listing dads that are going to go in his dad museum and talking about notably bad like show business dads like Marvin Gaye's father and Joe Jackson and the guy who drops Emilio Estevez off in the Breakfast Club. Like, it's stuff like that just goes by that you don't even hear it the first time. That makes Atlanta so great to me. So Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that anthology aspect, but what's also great is that while every episode feels like its own little thing that you can watch and put away, and you don't necessarily need context to know what's going on within the episode, when you do have context and you are able to follow the building plot lines and the ways in which Atlanta does build its story of season 2 along these different episodes, it hits that much harder. It does this really amazing job of giving you both short-term and long-term stories in a satisfying way. And I just think it's hilarious in ways that you never expect it to be, and it's dramatic in ways that are really powerful. I'm consistently amazed by Atlanta. It might be my favorite piece of media from 2018.
Damn. Over movies.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I'm all for ranking the stuff like that. Some of one of the best stories. That's all. To me, it's all the collaboration between Hiro Murai and the Glover brothers, because I don't think enough credit goes to Donald's
Stephen
brother.
Glover.
Yeah, he's writing.
And Stephanie Robinson, who writes a lot of episodes, is also really great for that show.
And they're like, you remember when the whole thing with the Deadpool show came out, where FX was like, no, that's not coming out because, he's really busy. Donald rolled up a 6-page draft morning of and said, busy where? Busy how?
Yeah.
He was on the set of The Lion King, too.
Yeah, they're like oozing with creativity. It's crazy. I'm so in awe of those people. Hiro Murai, once he gets his own movies and stuff, he's going to be a problem.
I was going to mention that. We got that trailer to that. We got Atlanta season 2, but just this year alone, right? This Is America.
Yeah.
Hosting Saturday Night Live and really taking over a majority of the skits, which is what he came in to do.
Being everybody's favorite part of Solo.
Atlanta season 2 does an entire tour. Bro, man had a big year.
Yeah.
Working on The Lion King.
Yeah.
He wants to be the new Kanye. He sees there's an opening.
Yeah. I heard 21 Savage just called him yeah,
that's right. He's a monster.
Like the new Andre 3000 or something.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's good. That's an honor.
Art, what is your favorite show of 2018? Or rather, why is it American Vandal?
It's actually not American Vandal.
Oh, it's not? It didn't make your top 5?
It did not make my top 5. American Vandal would have been probably 7 or 8. Ooh, how about this one for a loop over here? Zach, there is the show.
Right. This is a new discovery of yours.
This is so new, you guys are going to think I'm kidding. Maybe I've lost it. There is a show on Cartoon Network, of all places, called The Amazing World of Gumballs. 6 seasons, 200 and something episodes, but they're only 11 minutes each, Zach. And the first episode that I had seen is a bit of it, and it piqued my interest. I said, why has nobody told me about this show? Is this show really this crazy? And it was like a bit that they did that was, the humor in it was clearly not meant for kids, and they knew it. Like,
yes.
the scene was flexing on the fact that it was getting over kids' heads. So I binge watched a couple episodes right before I came back home. And they have an episode about a robot, like an Amazon Echo, who they give instructions to, and it has to follow it to a T. Protect me at all costs. Oh, thanks. Boom. Starts hitting people because it needs to protect it at all costs. It's this crazy machine that says, okay, don't hurt anyone. Okay, I won't hurt anyone. Then I must kill humans because humans are in of themselves going to annihilate. It's 2001: A Space Odyssey retold by this cartoon, Zach. When that hit me at the end and I realized that, oh my goodness, this is a video essay. They just literally explained to you in for a kid what 2001: A Space Odyssey is and why he couldn't let Dave do what he did.
I saw you talk about this being better than Rick and Morty. Those are some fighting words for the internet.
There it goes. Took it. What are you easily? There ain't no Pickle Ricks. And if there is a Pickle Rick, right? That joke that you're just gonna go for it. You know what Rick and Morty does? They sit there. They let him marinate. Oh, y'all don't like it? Well, you're gonna like it. I'm Pickle Rick. I'm gonna continue to say I'm Pickle Rick. The entire episode is about Pickle Rick. Now they'll give you your Pickle Rick, and then Next one. I like they are just, and
They
it's
keep it
not
moving.
it's not whatever goes sticks. It's there. They know they're giving you a gem that they should do the Eminem pause for to let the bar hit,
Yeah.
and they don't. They know it's good, and they're like, nah, we got 10 more. It's not we're hitting you because we know we're gonna get a lot of misses. It's like we got way too much for you to handle, bro. I was telling you that other one about the doppelganger. They literally
Yeah.
did the movie Us already.
So just to be clear, your favorite TV show of 2018 is episodes of The Amazing World of Gumball from 2011.
No, because 2018 is their final season, and Zach, I will not be able to talk about the show or put it on any list if it's over. That said, I do agree with you. Some of the best episodes, because I was watching Cartoon Network, I know weren't from this year, so I started rewatching some of the ones from this year. I'm gonna put it to you this way. I'm gonna give you one last note, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
That it's the show is a mixture of 2D, 3D, stop motion, Pixar, whatever, and they all combine into one. It's a trip, Zach. It's a very big trip. There's an episode where they got to make Bigfoot, their friend Bigfoot, really small. So they take his mom, who just so happens to have like potions. They take it, they make him small, and he's like, finally, I can fit in with everyone, and I'm here, and I'm here, and I'm here, and I'm just like everybody else. So then they need to make him bigger. And they go, well, what if we can't make him bigger? And they try all the potions, nothing works. And then he goes, great, well, what are we supposed to do? And he goes, well, I don't know. If we can't make him bigger, let's just blame it on rap music. Why would we blame it on rap music? I don't know. Say it has something to do with the Lils.
Those are our
The
favorite
best
TV
shows
shows
of
of 2018. Let us know what your favorite TV shows of 2018 were in the comments down below. And please let us know if you've seen The Amazing World of Gumball.
If you are 12 or older.
We're going to move on to our last segment, the new to see, where we talk about what's new in theaters, to streaming, and on VOD. Starting with January 11th in theaters, A Dog's Way Home, a.k.a. that dog movie with the trailer that tells you everything.
Yep.
Also, Replicas with
Keanu.
The Upside used to be called The Untouchables, and then Harvey Weinstein stuff happened.
Yeah.
And On the Basis of Sex expands to more theaters. Then, new to streaming, Netflix on January 9th, Solo, a Star Wars story. On January 11th, the second season of Friends with College, as well as the Netflix original movie Sex Education. And then on January 16th, an okay movie, a pretty good Jay-Z album, American Gangster, hits Netflix. Okay. HBO Go on January 12th, Ocean's 8. And then on January 13th is the True Detective Season 3 premiere. On Amazon Prime Video. Not sure if you noticed this, but Beautiful Boy actually popped up.
Yeah, I saw that.
Amazon Prime Video a few days ago.
Yeah.
I know I missed it in theaters. I know you saw it. So
yeah.
I might catch up with our boy Timmy. On January 11th, Informer Season 1 hits Prime Video. On January 13th, excuse me.
You got those hiccups. I wanted to say something, but I'm like, I want him to leave it because I want people to leave timestamps down below of like, does this man not going to stop for the hiccups at all?
I thought they would stop.
I've been trying to see. I was like, Father, who art in heaven, let this hiccups go away. He's trying to go all the way through. Hey, drink it, man. I'm here. I can break the time for you. Dog's Way Home. Let me give you my review for here. A little slow beginning. They were showing a lot of the stuff of when it was going to come out, but in the middle, they really started giving you everything you needed to know. And it wraps up nicely. The dog fights his way back home. Stream it.
Combo price. January 13th on Amazon Prime Video. 8th Grade, if you haven't seen the Bo Burnham film
on
yet.
Prime?
Yeah, on Prime. So please catch up with one of my favorite, actually my favorite movie of 2018. And then January 16th, The Debt with Jessica Chastain and Helen Mirren. Pretty good movie that I saw a few years ago. Then new to VOD on January 15th, Once Upon a Deadpool, Halloween, Madeline's Madeline, and The Old Man and the Gun. Art.
Pretty solid.
what is your pick for the week?
My pick for the week is If Beale Street Could Talk. It's supposed to be getting also another bigger expansion. I do like it. I keep saying that the worst part about the movie is the fact that it needs to be compared to Moonlight. That sucks about it. But I highly recommend going to go see that. I think you guys would enjoy it. In terms of shows, bro, you can watch it on Hulu. You can watch it on Xfinity. You can watch it. They're 11 minutes long. You can watch them online. I highly recommend the Doppelganger one. Is this copycat episode where there's another show that's literally copying everything they do. And I kid you not, the resolution to that episode is too heavy for a kid's show. I spoiled it for Zach earlier. Am I wrong? That's some heavy stuff. And if that's the way Us ends... all I'm saying.
I'm gonna have to check out this show. I'm gonna have to check out. That might be my what to watch for the week. What I'm recommending or do you have anything else?
No, I was saying the Beale Street for theaters, that for at home.
Cool. So if my recommendations, if you are going out, I'll say Beale Street as well. I think that's one that I wanted to see again since I've only seen it once still, and I think the Moonlight comparison is interesting because. It is good in many of the same ways that Moonlight is good. It's got that intimacy.
Shots,
it's got that really if you feel like you're in their lives, but it's a completely different movie. So I don't know. It's hard to compare, but similar in some ways. Yep. And then for people staying at home, Sorry to Bother You is on Hulu.
It's been on Hulu. Yes. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I just rewatched it. I rewatched it this last week. It's still like a batshit insane movie, but endlessly creative and continually coming up with new interesting ways to kind of subvert culture and comment on capitalism and class and unions. And I think it's not only one of the funniest movies of the year, but one of the smartest movies of the year. It definitely puts Boots Riley on the map as a voice to watch because it's just a unique cinematic perspective. I think it's just one of the most interesting absurdist comedy movies in quite some time. So if you're looking for something that's cultural satire but also just hilarious and random and weird, this is definitely the movie for you.
Funnest movie I saw. I'm so excited. Sundance, my dude, 2 weeks from now. When I first saw that at Sundance, it was crazy. Just the amount of fun that you're having because you really did not know where that movie was going to go next. Yeah. I can't wait to see what this year is.
What's your bet for the Sundance movie this year?
Dick Long. You already know. You already know what I was going to say. We're all planning on watching that one midnight when everybody gets there. That's the movie that comes from our favorite A24 film, Swiss Army Man. The directors, one of them is directing this movie.
The Death of Dick Long.
Death of Dick Long.
Yes. Very excited to see that one at Sundance. But that's all for this week's show. You can catch more from me, Zach Shevich, by following me on Twitter, on Letterboxd, @ZShevich. Also check out my Instagram, @ZShevich. Art, where can people find more from you?
You can find me at Data Z Show on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Letterboxd is actually, a lot of people have been checking out the top lists and been telling me, why is Mandy here? Why is Leave No Trace here?
Yeah.
Because the other ones are above it.
List look like my top list.
Boy, why don't yours look like so yeah, there's a bunch of different things. On Instagram, you can definitely follow me because I'll be talking about everything from the road trip. I'm in Seattle now. I'm going to try to shoot some videos with the incredible background that we have. We would have shot it, but you can't see anything, and it's so windy in Seattle. They didn't talk about the rain. No, they took Chicago's wind over here, so you wouldn't even be able to hear anything if I was out there. But we got the needle at the backdrop, but I'll be posting all of that stuff on Instagram, asking for suggestions on Twitter, and yeah.
Let Art know where you can get a good cup of coffee. He will
please.
Thank you.
Hey,
you can listen.
I was just gonna say for the 5th time, please, saying, "Hey, there's a little coffee shop called Starbucks." It gets funnier. It gets funnier every time I hear the joke.
You know what's really funny is when you hear it for the 107th time. Then it's a
because that's 107 times. That is. Zach, where can they find you?
You can listen to every episode of the Intercut podcast on iTunes, on SoundCloud, on your favorite podcatcher. I like Overcast. And then make sure you're subscribed not just to the audio podcast, but to the video feed as well here on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/intercutpod, where you can catch our bright smiling faces as we break down the latest happenings in the entertainment industry. Find new episodes of Intercut every Thursday, and please leave a comment, like the video, head over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review, do any of that stuff. Also, like our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter pages. All of them are at Intercut Pod. It's the best way to get updates on us and the show throughout the week. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, Green Book will forever be remembered alongside great comedies such as The Martian and American Hustle.
I'm for it.